We now move to the question. So in this question, we are required to determine the break-even sales in units and then in value. Then the second question is determine the level of sales revenue to achieve a profit after tax of 28,000 naira, assuming a tax rate of 30% given. So let's read the question. Tofumi Nigeria Limited produces and sells two products, A and B. The following information relates to the budgeted income statement for year 2010. These are the two products. We have the sales in value. This is the total sales value. This is for A and this is for B. Variable cost for A and B. Then we have the fixed cost for A and B. Budgeted selling price. Budgeted selling prices are 120 and 180. So required, determine the break-even sales in unit and in value. Now, this question is on multi-product break-even analysis. So the formula we are using will be this formula. We are not to use this because the question relates to multi-product. So we are not using this one. We are not using this. So the question says we should compute the sales, the break-even sales in units and then in value. So what do? We move to the solution. Solution. So the name of the company is Tofumi Limited. Tofumi Limited. So the question says that we should compute the break-even sales in unit. So the first one in unit and in value. So the first is break-even sales. So you write down the formula, break-even sales in units. So our formula is, to calculate this, our formula is total fixed cost all over weighted contribution margin, which is total all over this weighted contribution margin, WCM. So where the WCM, that is weighted contribution margin, is output A all over total output of A and B multiplied by WCM, cm of A, all into bracket, plus output B all over total output multiplied by contribution margin of B. So looking at this, at the numerator and the denominator, the total fixed cost for both A and B has been given in the question. The total fixed cost has been given for both A and B. So now how do we solve this? The weighted average contribution represents the total contribution of both A and that of B. So to get the total contribution, this is the formula we are using to compute this. So we need to determine this one after the other. So let's go. Let's look at the output. The output of A. What is the output of A? What is the output of B? In the question, are we giving the output? Let's look at the question. Are we giving the output? In the question, we are not giving output. We are only giving the value of the sales value of A and the sales value of B. Then also the variable costs in total has also been given for A and that of B has been given. So we do not have output. So what we need to do here is to determine the output. Now how do we determine the output for the two products? Of course, we have the selling price, and we have the selling price for A and that of B. That is, the selling prices have been given. So let's determine the output first for A. So output for the two products. So A, we are looking at this. We are going to use the sales value divided by the selling price of A. So what is the sales value of A? In the question, we have the sales value of A to be 8,400 all over. We have the selling price of 120 naira. So this is going to give us 8,400 divided by 120. So we are having 70 units. This is for A. Then for B, we move to B. This is the output for A. Then the output, the B, we are having the same formula, sales value of B all over the selling price of B. So the sales value of B is 25,000 naira 200 divided by the selling price, the unit selling price of 180 naira. So this gives, so let's compute this. So we have 25,200 divided by 180. So this is 140 units. So the total output for the two products will be 70 and 140. So let's determine total output. Total output would be 70 units plus 140 units. which gives 210 units. This is the total output. So we have been able to establish determine the output A, which is 70 units, total output 210, output B 140, total output 210. So let's move to CM, which is CM. Our CM is our total output. Our total output here is 210. So we move to CM. CM stands for contribution margin. This is not weighted contribution. We need the individual contribution. That is the contribution for A, contribution margin for A, and contribution margin for B. That is what we need to compute now. So how do we calculate contribution margin? Contribution margin. The formula is selling price per unit minus variable cost per unit. So we compute the CM for A, which is selling price per unit minus variable cost per unit. The selling price for product A in the question, let's look at the question. The selling prices are given. But do we have the variable cost per unit? So looking at the question, the variable cost per unit for A and B are not in this question. So we need to determine the selling price per unit. We only have the total, we have to calculate the variable cost per unit. We have the selling price per unit. Selling price per unit for A has been given, B has also been given. But the variable cost for this A and B are yet to be determined. Variable cost per unit. This is variable cost in total. Variable cost in total. So how do we get this variable cost per unit? So we are going to look at the output too. We'll divide this by the output of A. We'll also divide this by the output of B. Of course, we have computed the output of A and also that of B. So let's look at how to determine this. So selling price in the question, selling price for A has been given to be 120 naira per unit minus variable cost per unit. We do not have variable cost per unit. So we can look at the total variable cost of A, which is 4,480 divided by the output of A, 70 naira, 70 units. So what do we have? 120 naira minus 44. Let's look at it. 448 divided by 17. So we are having 64 naira. So 120 naira minus 64. That gives 56 naira. So 56 naira is the contribution margin for A. Contribution margin for A. Then let's look at that of B. Let's compute contribution margin for B. So we still maintain the same selling price, the same formula rather. Selling price minus variable cost per unit. So where the selling price of B has been given to be 180 naira. So this is 180 minus Variable cost per unit has not been given, so we look at the total variable cost, which is 10,640 divided by the output of B, which is 140 units. 140 units. So we solve further by dividing the total variable cost by the total output. So by the total output. So I mean by the output of not total output of B. So we know the variable cost per unit of B. So now we are dividing this total variable cost by the output of B, 140, to know the variable cost per unit of B. So this is 76 naira. So we have 76 naira, 180 minus 76 naira. This is 104. This is the contribution margin. This is the contribution margin for product B. Contribution margin for product B. Contribution margin for product B. So we have gotten the contribution margin for A and B. So let's go back to the formula. In this formula, WCM, we have output A and total output. Output A has been determined to be this. Total output is 210. Then CM of A. CM is contribution margin of A, which is 56. Then output B, which is this 140. Total output 210. Contribution margin of B is 104 rather. So we can insert all these values into the formula. So let us move to the next stage.